Good morning, and welcome to Who Am I? Who am I? What are we going to talk about during the Who Am I show? What we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about source energy. We're going to talk about who am I in reference to source energy. Who are we in reference to source energy, and why does this matter? It matters a lot because it goes to the very heart and meaning of all existence. It implies all kinds of things about current events, history, news, politics, religion, philosophy, everything. Who am I? Who am I in reference to source energy? What is source energy? Now, I am a student of many things, many teachings. I sit at the feet of many masters, and I hope that some people sit at the feet of my mastery. We can all learn from each other. I mean, we are reflections of a magnificence that, when we start checking out the way one another is reflecting this magnificence, we'll be amazed. We'll be amazed at ourselves and amazed at the implications to all of what we imagine to be our problems. All of that. So what is source energy, and how can I presume to have anything to say about it? Doesn't that mean I'm talking about like the G word, Yeah, but we're not going to talk about it that way. We're going to talk about it in matter-of-fact terms. We're going to talk about it in energy terms, vibration, physics, new physics, unified physics. We're going to talk about Planck's and the hologram and the divine matrix, all of that kind of thing. It's a framework that when you put the world, when you see the world this way, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. My imagination can take it from here because it set my consciousness up in a realistic way, where I am comprehending myself and how I fit into a greater whole. Who am I? Who am I? Who are we? What does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be a human being? What's the object of the exercise? What is my value? How do I find my way to be of value to the greater whole based on who am I? Who am I in reference to source energy? What is source energy? Let's just tackle that one for a minute. What is source energy? And why does it matter to me? Well, we are all extensions of source energy. We are physical matter. We are Planck's clumped together in patterns. First of all, you are the Almighty. But from your perspective, the Almighty that you are is like your individual self, really big, and the bigness of all the rest of it relative to that smaller, which is funny because in reality, to your imagination, as you imagine it, how it really is that there's way more of you out there that isn't you, and just this tiny little thing that is you. Anyway, you work both ways. You are both scales. Why does this matter? Because you are inseparably one with the rest of the universe, which means your dreams, your goals What helps you inseparably helps the rest of the group. Actually, what helps the rest of the group inseparably helps you. What does this mean as a human being? How should I order my life? I really need to do a marathon, because every time I start with one concept, there's a foundational concept right before that I want to go explain. And so whenever I do this show, by the time I get to an hour, I have only laid the foundations. I haven't gotten to the place where I can take that foundation and then fly with it and talk about bigger things and more complex, ordered things, because I spent my whole time saying we're vibrational beings in a vibrational universe, and we're made out of plunks, and what's a plunk, and we're holographic, and how do you make a hologram, and this is, and what does it mean to be holographic? It means that the information of the whole of the universe is with you, with everyone, with anyone, anywhere, because it's everywhere. And how is it everywhere? It is riding on our atomic structure. The atomic structure of the universe, what has manifest into materiality, is connected to and known by the rest of materiality. It's updating its information about the physical universe to itself all the time. It's uploading and downloading. So every point is uploading its information vibrationally to the whole as it vibrates. This is telling the whole, broadcasting to the whole, this is where I am. This is what I'm doing. This is my temperature. This is my vector direction. This is I'm relative to these points around me. All of that is being uploaded to the whole all the time. You've got to ponder the implications of this are huge. Huge as it relates to who you are as a human being and what you can do with the information you've got. So know that what this implies, so I'm a student of Abraham. I was going to say that at the beginning, and then I just said I'm a student of a lot of teachers, a lot of masters. But I have absorbed the teachings of Abraham, and she's absolutely correct about what she says. We're vibrational beings in a vibrational universe, and we are expanding. The whole field is expanding. It's learning. It's growing. It's becoming more all the time, and we are part of that. You can't. So you're becoming more too, whether you recognize it, whether you're going with it, whether you're resisting it, whether you're insisting on something different. You are expanding with the field. You are, and you have an inner being. And this inner being is thinking. It's the better part of you. It's every desire that you have ever declared, in words or not in words, the positive side of every negative feeling that you have ever had, which was always an implication to an ask. A negative feeling is always an ask for a positive. And Source, whenever you feel that negative emotion, human emotions are amazing. Amazing. And there's so much information packed into human emotion. It is our inner being sussing the physical world. But you just may not be reading your emotions correctly because you're not understanding your own nature, your own design. And your design is this: you are two selves, and one self of you is your source energy based self. Your source energy based self, which is pure positive vibrational energy connected to all things. And that is just a you. It's who you really are. And this aspect of you is pure vibration and tending to a vortex of creation that is everything positive you have ever asked for, and how it relates to the rest of the field, how it relates to all the desires of everyone else, because newsflash, your inner being is vibrationally connected to everyone else's inner being. Your inner being is, there's no separation between you and everyone else. And so this has brought me to a place where I recognize something, a framework that your inner being is always looking at. And it's important to understand your inner being, because your inner being is your, let's call your inner being your macro self. And your macro self is the key to the success of your micro self. Your micro self wants to succeed, but sometimes your analytical mind is confused about who you are, about just what you're trying to succeed at what success would look like, at how to achieve that success. Your analytical mind can be confused about the nature of everything else and how it's working. But your greater self is not confused about this. Your greater self is completely in touch with all of its actual physical information. She knows. Your inner being knows. Knows what? Knows everything. Knows where all the physicality is, how it's moving, what it wants. My inner being knows what your inner being wants. My inner being is vibrationally inseparable from your inner being, actually. The key to my inner being is my inner being, as it interfaces with me, tells me specifically what I want, what I like more than anything, and what would float my boat, what would thrill me, what would make me happy, what would feel like feelings, how good those feelings feel. You know, what would equal that? And yeah, I can milk feelings out of, and I do, actually. You do it in order to practice the momentum of positive energy, not just to, like, you're not just stroking yourself so that you feel, there's a purpose to the practice of feeling good emotions. Because it all has to do with your design and the flow of this reality that we are a part of, and how to achieve your own personal success. What does your own personal success look like? Well, I have felt for many, many decades the powerful truth that if humanity does not survive, I will not survive. And that if it's very, very difficult for large parts of humanity, it might be difficult for me. Or it might be very unpleasant for me, as many human beings suffer. And I might suffer, or I might just be aware of others suffering, which is also very unpleasant. I mean, what I'm saying is back in the 80s, I recognized that the survival of humanity and the survival of planet Gaia is necessary for our thriving, for my happiness, for my continued comfort and pleasure and continuance, that the rest of the whole needed to survive and thrive in order for me to thrive. Now, I always felt like I was pinged to a larger frame that people around me didn't necessarily understand. And I always felt like I was singing to an audience that wasn't necessarily right in front of me. That people didn't understand me. I still feel that way. I have people around me right now that do not understand me. One absolutely loves me and in a way understands me but does not resonate necessarily. He thinks about other things. He thinks about eBay and football and I don't know, golf. He does not actually ponder the weightier questions of humanity. But I do. I do because I believe that the answer to all of these things goes to, I mean, if you want to have an ability to accurately weigh in on politics, what should people do? The law, what should people do? News, what should people do? What should people have done over there? And I look at what those people did, and this is what I think about that. If you want to be accurate, you got to think about it. You've got to order it intentionally. You've got to put it in place intentionally because I'm telling you, most of us here in Western society were not taught how to order it correctly. And so, unless you go back in and reorder it intentionally, you've probably got it wrong. You probably think that the material world comes first, that it is primary. Materiality is primary, and everything else comes off of that. Consciousness arises from the primacy of materiality, and it is what it is. If you believe in the primacy of materiality, then you would believe things like your facts don't care about your feelings and stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you that actually vibration is primary. Vibration comes first, and upon the wings of the vibration does the materiality coalesce. It forms around the vibration that has happened. And it's one of the reasons how come your emotions are actually what your emotions are is your greater self. Well, let me just tell you who you are, and then we'll tell you what your emotions are. Because this is a different take. This is a completely different take on emotionality. I mean, I was raised on Star Trek. I believed that utter neutrality of Spock was the correct answer. I actually do believe that there is something very valuable in the neutral voice, but he's misunderstanding what emotions are. Emotions are a relativity between you and your higher self. So let's go this way. You are two selves. You are two minds. One of your minds you don't have very much control over because your small self is just such a tiny piece of this larger self that you are. So most of it is it's just allowing everything else to be what it is. And your larger self knows what everything is, knows where it is, knows where it was 5 minutes ago, knows where it was 15 minutes ago, 15 days ago, 15 months ago, 15 years ago, 15 decades ago, 15 centuries ago, 15 millennia ago, 15 million years ago, it knows, and it carries with it all of that information. The information of yesterday is right here with us today with your vibrational inner being. It is all right here, right now, and you are connected to it. Now, we are not taught to ever think about that. We could be. It's totally true. We could be taught from a young age to know this and to think about it a lot and to ponder what it means and to put it together in a way that makes sense. We could be taught that, but we're not taught that because instead we are coming from generations of people, each and every little group taught a completely different cosmology. And then not only are we all taught completely different cosmologies, that's what different religions are. This is what God is, and this is the meaning of the rules, and this is where we came from, and this is where we're going. This is the object of the exercise. Everybody's taught a different cosmology. And then to top it all off, it is rude to discuss this with anybody. You can't talk religion to anybody or any of this stuff because it starts touching on things very high up in our consciousness mechanism, things that are ordering all the rest of our lives. And to talk about those things lightly, it's very disruptive because you start disrupting some of those object of the exercise, and this is the building block nature of, these are the rules of the universe. You start shifting those around, and the implications to everything else in your physical life is quite disruptive. And so you don't just talk about those things lightly, but still, we're taught that you can't discuss them. And so because we can't discuss them, all of this misinformation just stays there. Just stays in place as everybody fights to the death for their version of Jesus or whatever. And it's crazy. As a matter of fact, once you understand actually the physical nature of who you are and the divine matrix that you are swimming in, the implications to your religion are almost immediate. And you go, oh, no wonder, as that iterated through time and through lives and feelings and, consciousness and understandings and misunderstandings, why my religion iterated the way that it did. And I can still hear the echoes of the truth in it as it spoke about love and peace and the things it tried to warn about, and then how those kind of got wonkified until it was a sort of doom. So who are we? We are pure, positive energy. All of us are. And all of humanity, if it can align, misaligned humanity is horrendously destructive, disordered, dangerous, distorted. It's the law and disorder factor. I'm going to talk a bit about law and order. Everything becomes implicit when you recognize our nature. Our nature is who you really are and who every single human being really is. And I don't care how hateful and horrible they are acting. Every single human being, who they really are, is this continuum of consciousness and love, and it's liquid love and information that is this connected field that we all are. Now, you might ask, if every single one of us is pure love, why is that guy over there such an asshole? I'll tell you why he is. Because he doesn't understand his nature. We don't understand his nature. Nobody understands his emotions correctly. And his emotions, the data and information that his emotions are actually giving him and us, is being squandered because we aren't understanding the meaning of it. So what is the meaning of it? Your emotions are a reed between your two selves. And one of your selves, the self that connects to all things, the self that you really are, because it's who you always are, your pure vibrational source energy, extension, connected vibrational self, is pure, undiluted, positive love energy. Connected love energy. Love of the whole thing. That's who you really are. But now your individual self, your analytical self, this one can choose. And because it can choose, it has the God-given right or ability, you could say, to choose incorrectly. And why is that so important? Because it's only by being able to choose incorrectly that the correctness is finally and forever, well, maybe not forever, but finally fleshed out. You can see the truth when absolute falsehood is selected. Then the impact of that against your soul as you feel it, you're like, that is not me. Did any of that make sense? Because I kind of took a little jump there that I'm not sure my audience. I don't know who my audience is. I don't know if they are up to speed. I don't know if they are past me, or if they're trying to catch up to me. I'm pretty far ahead, so I'm not the farthest ahead, I do not believe. But I'm down the road. You gotta get up to speed if you're gonna understand what I'm talking about. Now, from this position, there is no blame, and there is no enemy, and there is no, not even the Trump administration is my enemy, and I am a total progressive. I do not like his administration. He has a circle of evil and a weird philosophy, and he's in deep decline. Doesn't matter. It's his sycophants in charge of all their little departments that are causing all of the disturbance. But the problem is really a philosophy. It's a philosophy that is being illustrated in the public arena right now, on full display, on full visual aid display for all of humanity to witness. And that's why I feel compelled in this moment to step up in front of this visual aid and start discussing who we are. Who are we? Well, we are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe, and we are divine. And we are connected to the rest of the universe, which is also divine. It is divine and holy and sacred and blessed and absolutely magnificent. Magnificent in its wonder and its beauty and it's sublime. But it's also sublime in its horror, and it's like I just got hit with a lot of wordless. I'm speechless. The place I just went to. Sorry, and because that's not a good place to be since this is a talk show. But when you recognize the import of the universe and your relationship to it, that's actually what the divinity is. That's what the sublime. So who are you really? You are a vortex. You are two vortices, actually, trying to spin together. And one of you is spinning with the whole field. The whole field is spinning, spinning. And you are part of that spin. That's your source-based spin. But then you have another spin, and this is your own personal spin, your own individual spin. And it's you putting your spin on it. But even as you spin your individual spin into being, it has to spin harmoniously with the rest of the field. And it can. And how can it? When you trust your inner being to guide your way, to lead you through whatever minefield you're getting from the field of physicality around you, whatever guff you're getting, whatever blowback you're getting from the field, let your inner being guide you through it. One of the best ways to understand it is to, first of all, understand that the blowback that you're getting has to do somehow with some frequency that you are emitting. It has to be, because the universe is actually a mirror. The universe is a mirror. Let me run really quickly through the laws of the universe that I know of, and the rules and the basic fundamental foundational everything. And it's these concepts that you put together and then take that and now overlay it over the conditional world and see whether the conditional world doesn't make a lot more sense. You go, oh, well, that's why that's happening. Oh, that's really the answer there, isn't it then? Oh, we were slapping those people and we really needed to be giving them blankets, or something like that. And the beatings will continue until morale improves. Knowing now that morale's never going to improve if you keep beating people. And so you got to change the answer is not beating people. It's you got to do this other thing. You got to love people. You got to feed people. You got to care for people. You got to give them health care and make sure that their children eat. And let's put up housing so that they can live in a dignified manner. And it doesn't all have to be for profit and gentrified. And then teach people who they are and help them develop the improvement seeking machines that they are. So let's run through the laws of the universe really quick as I know them. You are source energy. You were source energy before you came into these physical bodies, and the larger part of you is still this source-based vibrational energy. And then the other part of you is this tiny little you that is your specific body, which is also source energy, by the way, because it is made of atoms, and all atomic materiality is connected to all other atomic materiality. It is not a disconnected universe. It is a connected universe. So, step one, the steps of creation. Step one, contrast, causes you to identify something that would be better, causes you to ask. Step two, source answers. How does source do it? Through a vibration. You just hit the negative tone. Source immediately recognizes the positive tone and becomes that positive tone and then holds that positive tone right there. That's who your inner being is, sitting right there at the positive, at the farthest point that you asked. And it's a vibrational place, and it happened through your emotions. Your emotions are the most amazing musical instrument of the freaking cosmic universe. That if we could understand it that way and play our instruments correctly with one another, we could create for ourselves the most amazing society that has ever, it's like we're creating an idiocracy right now. because we're just pinging off the unconscious and we're not understanding what we're looking at, and we don't know who we are. That's what my whole spiel is. Who are we, for crying out loud? We are the most amazing creatures in the most amazing universe, possessing of the most amazing operational system sitting on top of our brains. Our consciousness is amazing. But you gotta line it up correctly. You gotta put the intuitive mind in the driver's seat. Quit putting the analytical mind in the driver's seat, because the analytical mind doesn't know. The analytical mind is learning. And when you put it into alignment with the intuitive mind, then, oh my gosh, our analytical mind is so capable of amazing things. You just got to line it up properly. Alignment, alignment, alignment. That is the cry of the 21st and 22nd centuries. Maybe we'll have gotten it by the 22nd century. Maybe it's just the cry of the second half of the third quarters, the 3 last quarters of the 21st century. Alignment. It's not about law. It's not about crime and sin. It's about alignment. Alignment. Alignment with who we are, who we all are. We all have an inner being, and each and every one of our inner beings is absolutely, absolutely in touch with the rest of the field. Now, we may have no access to the information that our greater self has, because we've kind of slammed that door closed because we don't understand our emotions. So what are our emotions? You are two selves. You are two minds. And one of your minds is absolutely in full-throated, full discourse with all of the rest of the field. One of your minds is pure positive, nothing but positive energy, nothing but potential. When you, in your analytical self, can find a way to resonate with that greater mind that you are, your emotions, they feel so good. So good. Powerfully good. Powerfully good. And so, what's the answer then? You got to get into alignment with your greater self. And your greater self is thinking really big thoughts about everything. It knows. Actually, what is your inner being? How do you get into alignment with your greater self? Who is this greater self that you are? Perhaps we should talk about this for a minute, because the nature of your inner being and how her thinking creates your emotions is worth discussing a bit. She's always positive. She is only seeing what is, with a capital I. That means all of it. She sees what is, and she's looking forward. She sees only possibility as she sits there and looks, oh man, look at all of the things that are in place on the field right now. All of the different components and how they could be put together for anything. A business, an enterprise, a project, an event, a building, a design, anything. She can see it all. And you, when you bring your inquisitive nature and when you bring yourself and your mind to this table. Okay, so this is what happens. Your inner being is always looking at the positive. Is never discouraged, because she knows, as I have said already this morning, she knows everything. And she knows everything that ever was, too. It's all right here with her. So that's not what she's thinking about. She's not thinking about, oh, I wonder what's going on over there. She doesn't have to do that because she knows where all the physicality is. So what is she thinking about? She's thinking about what could be better, what you like, what you have already identified about what is less than and how it could be more. That's all she's looking at. She's only looking at the forward, at the everything that is and how it could be combined for more, for better, for more abundance, more beauty, more joy, more fun, more clarity, more of the creatures taking care of more other creatures, organizing more and more phantasmagorical shapes and possibilities and everything. She's just, there is no limit to the potential, the possibilities of endless positivity that she can spin. But now it's up to you to focus, because you are her at a tight, drawn down focus, like way constricted in the flow. She's everything. You are something. And it's the interplay between those two that matters so much. The allness really, really does matter to you and your smallness. But your smallness really, really matters to you in your allness, because your allness needs a vehicle by which to experience this allness that she is, to explore and recognize the character and nature of this universe that we all are. And that's where you come in. And you, with your free agency, have the ability to think any old direction. You can think any direction you think in. You can think in expansive, positive, loving, hopeful, ways. Or you can think in mean, small, petty, vengeful, mean-spirited ways. But when you think thoughts like that, the feeling that you get when you take that mean, small, my daughter doesn't think about anybody but herself. I actually don't think either one of my daughters are like that, but say my neighbor doesn't think about anybody but himself. He's so selfish. He hates this country and he hates me and he hates his family and he just blah, 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 blah. That feels terrible when I think those thoughts. And I might imagine that the reason that it feels terrible is because it's true. But it also isn't true. And my inner being knows full well that my neighbor is way, 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 way more than that. And that he too has been a part of this project life for all of eternity. And he too has an inner being. And my inner being understands who he really is. And understands his value to the equation, even if I don't understand the value. But the difference in when my thoughts take me to a negative emotion, because my inner being, who knows everything, never takes a negative emotion about all of the things that she knows. Never. When I take a negative emotion, it means that I am thinking contrary to my inner being. I am now not thinking with my inner being, I'm thinking against my inner being. And you don't really want that, because your inner being is the one that knows. Your inner being is the one that can lead you to everything you want and everywhere you want to be. And with every other being that you want to be there with. Your inner being can lead you to the experiences that you want. How do you do that? Well, don't contradict your inner being. If you find yourself in intense negative emotion, know that the reason that you are in negative emotion is because in this moment, the thoughts that you are tangled up in, the thoughts that you are thinking, are running against the fur of your inner being. Your fingers are on the chalkboard. You're rubbing the fur the wrong way. You are flowing in the opposite direction of the flow of your inner being. You're trying to row upstream instead of letting the flow take you. We are in a soup of an ether of Planck's, a fluid dynamic of a universe that is spinning. And we are all spinning together in one harmonious flow all together. And when you pick your individual spin, it needs to be a spin that's spinning with the rest of the group. Harmonize with the rest of the group. Don't go against the flow. Actually, I have so many things that I could talk about this, having to do with law and order and love and order, and how we could make our way to synchronicity as a human species on this planet. And the law would be like a set of general rules that we all refer to, but everybody understands the spirit of the law, not just weaponizing the letter of the law. Because we understand the spirit of all things, we understand the frequency, and the spirit is what you pick first. Swear allegiance to a frequency of, I'm not going to blame other people. I'm not going to, first, do no harm. We should all take the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. Try very hard to find the flow of the rest of the group and flow that way. Well, how you do it is you do it through feelings. Your inner being is the one who is going to lead you to where you want to be. And so you have to declare that me feeling good is more important than my physical safety. It's more important than, and I'm talking about me feeling emotionally at peace within myself. My alignment between my two selves, and therefore my achievement of my own personal emotional connection to source, my own energetic vibrational connection to my source, is the most important thing to me in my life. Now, a lot of people will take that very sentence and translate it as my connection to God, my connection to my religion, my connection to whatever. And it is indeed the same thing. I just am putting it differently. I am translating it into physicality. The reason that we have an inner being is because we are two selves, and one of them is pure vibration. And it is informing the other one about your greater self's take on the world around you. Because that greater self is not just looking at it's looking at what you're looking at. Your two selves are with you all the time. But depending on what you are thinking, you may not be thinking in harmony with what your intuitive self is thinking about. And so what's the answer to this? Let the intuitive mind lead the way. Quit trying to lead the way. When it feels awful to think a thought, quit thinking that thought. Let it go and find a softer thought, one that you also believe is true. Don't think thoughts that don't believe things that don't make sense to you. Don't think thoughts that you don't want to think. Find where your greater you really is, and what is she thinking about? What is she concerned about? What does she care about? She cares about a lot of things. She cares about joy and fun and happiness, and she's got projects that she's been working on for millennia, probably. This is all consciousness. Who am I? Who are we? What does it mean to be a human being? We need to value every human being, and we need to start mining all of the blessed internal visions that we all have and are, in order to flesh out a larger picture that we are a huge being, huge, as big as the universe. We need to start living who we are and being who we are, and this nonsense about finding the crap people and disposing of them, building systems of disposing of people. That's the problem that our government is engaged in right now. That's what our government is engaged in right now. That is a problem. They are actively involved in the process of eliminating the people that they think are the bad people. And they're doing it more and more brazenly, and they're doing it with a surprising number of fellow Americans agreeing with them about it. And I don't like that. I don't like that. It is not okay to build systems of human being elimination. The systems of the systems that human beings should create that deal with end of life should not be concentration camps and prison systems that where we can throw people away and get them to die more quickly, either intentionally, not intentionally at first, and then intentionally later when the bodies start building up, and it's like, well, I don't know how to get rid of all these people. You know, we've got too many people that we have now put into inadequate systems. Now we need to build systems to dispose of these people. That's a problem. The only systems that we should be building for end of life should be senior care, loving senior care facilities where we are employing more and more people to lovingly care for the more and more aging people that, you know, and sort of semi-integrated with the rest of the field, you know, so if you have family members, they're woven into the equation without it being entirely on their shoulders. They still have the care of, you know, healthcare professionals, speech therapists, and hospice workers, and, you know, all of the medical care workers to help suss out what their problem is and what kind of care that they need, loving care as they age and then die off, and then our systems of burying or cremation or whatever. Those are the only kind of systems we should be building. Not these accelerated extermination systems that always come from a philosophy of there are some people that need to be thrown away, and we've got a power system. Our government in power is determining who we get to throw away, and we build systems, gulags, and or whatever, of how to dispose of these unwanted people. Can't have this, people. This is not who we want to be. This is not who we are, actually. It isn't who we are. It might be who we are being in this moment, but it isn't who we actually are. And so, because it's not who we are, to build systems that way is the literal definition of what I mean when I say building systems out of alignment. We cannot build systems out of alignment with the actual truth of who we are. When we do that, we create demonic energies that play out in the form of angry, frightened human beings who can't feed their children, who are desperate to feed their children or themselves or whatever. It causes anger, it causes fear, it causes desperation, and desperate people do desperate things, and that's what crime is really about. It's about a lack of abundance. It's about scarcity and misalignment with this actual field and how it actually works. If we could understand how this field works and how to actually align with it and its desires, which, by the way, are in alignment with your own inner being, who sees only love, who sees only possibility, who sees a larger... So the answer is, if you don't see only love, make your frame bigger. Widen the frame, widen the frame, widen the frame until you see yourself as a child, and you re-love your child self, and you see everybody else as just trying the best they can do, even if they're the monstrosity at the head of the ticket. I hate our government, and I hate what it's doing. But the reason I hate it is because I feel it's misalignment. And I understand also that because it is a matter of misalignment, only alignment will solve this issue. And so, unfortunately, we have to love our enemies. The secret to Mr. Trump: we can love him without loving what he's doing, without loving the philosophy that he espouses. And as a matter of fact, when one sees that the problem is actually the frame, the problem is the us versus them frame. The problem is there are good people and there are bad people, and I am in a position to tell you who the bad people are, and it is legitimate to throw them all away and to treat them poorly because they are bad. That is a philosophy that I just cannot stand. I cannot stand for. I cannot live with that. And I make sure that I see enough of my current news to see our government mistreating people enough so that I feel its reality, so that I feel the impulse to stand in front of you and say, that is not the way it is. That is not who we are. And it's a philosophy playing out. That's the problem. So I'm not going to point at those people and say those people are your enemy. I'm going to say that philosophy is your enemy. And we need to bring our brothers and sisters back from this evil philosophy that says that it's a win-lose game. It's a zero-sum game. It's a finite pie game. It's an us versus them game. It's not. It's not. But what it is a universe that is so reflective, so perfectly reflective, that whatever you are bringing to it, it's reflecting that world right back to you. And that's why, if you are living an us versus them mentality, why it appears that you're getting dealt an us versus them right back to you. It's one of the laws of the universe, one of the 5 immutable laws that you can't, 5 things you can't change. You exist. From your position of existence, non-existence does not exist. You exist. You will always exist. There's nothing you can do to change that. Everything is here and now. There is no everything is here and now. Nothing you can do to change that. We are all in this together. All the one is all and the all is one. There's nothing you can do to change that. What you put out is what you get back. That's the only actionable one of the rules. What you put out is what you get back. Nothing you can do to change that. And then the last one is everything changes. All conditionality, everything changes except for the laws. The laws never change. But the materiality, what it looks like, the rolling manifestation is always shifting. It's always becoming something new. Always, always becoming and begoing. Becoming is in front of you, begoing is behind you, but it's always doing that. Everything changes except for the laws, so get on board with that. Blur your focus on the physicality, because it doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does. And what matters more than anything else is, how does this feel? And I'll tell you, when I am at odds with my the loving people in the beloved circle of my family, I do not like the way that feels. That does not feel okay. And one way or another, I have to shift that. Shift my thinking, shift my understanding, come to a better place. My inner being knows what I want and knows how to get me there. She's literally standing at the vibration of everything I want. She's standing right there, tending my vortex of creation, my vortex of the ultimate of everything I have ever declared I want. Beauty, abundance, love, joy, peace, deliciousness, comfort, harmony, life sustainability, joyful sustainability, resistance-free systems of order, and that's what we want. That's our inner being knows exactly what we want, knows where it is, because it's all circling at different points of spin, connected at the core by a single spin. And it is through that connecting spin that your inner being can read where everything is and how it is moving relative to where you are and how you are moving. It's how she knows how to guide you to everything you want. So what's the long and the short answer here? Pay attention to your inner being. Do not leave your inner being behind, ever. You do not need to walk this earth without holding the hand of your inner being. Now, occasionally, you're going to imagine that you've lost touch with your inner being, and for just a moment, you're going to feel some fear or some anger or some kind of negative emotion. But immediately know what that means. It means that a thought that you took was different than the thought field that your inner being is in. So go find your inner being again, and she will help you resolve whatever that blip into negativity that you just experienced. It was because there's something in the field that could be improved. And your inner being knows how to do that. You don't need to stay in negative emotion. Just go make it better. Just go make it better. Well, that's the short answer. What's the long answer? Well, who am I and what do I care about? Get your thoughts and your feelings into the same place and you will be a powerful creature. Anyway, I hear the household getting up. I have gone over an hour, so I can't remember whether I said I was going to post this. There was one earlier that I said I wasn't going to post. This one hasn't been so bad. I just need to get it out there. So maybe I'll post it. Any case, if you've stayed with me all the way to the end of this, I wish I knew who you were. I wish I knew who you were. I'm going to change the description so that maybe somebody might find it from there, but until next time, if you have heard this, alignment, people, one person in perfect alignment with their inner being at all times could really, really, really make a difference. So stay in alignment. Stay in alignment as well as you can. And if you get thrown out of alignment for a minute, know exactly what has just happened and just go find yourself again. You are two selves, and your larger self is the one that knows the way. So stay in touch with her. How can you tell if you are in touch with her? It feels good. It feels safe. It feels like calm on a stormy sea. Until next time, when I will jump in and try to do this again, like I said at the beginning, I probably need to do a marathon so that I can get farther down the road. Because tomorrow I'm going to start again, and I might have to start at the beginning again. And some people might want me to go farther. How is this understanding going to get us off of fossil fuels? I didn't even touch that one today, but it will, and it can, because the 0 point energy field is everywhere, and there is more than enough energy there. But I think it's going to be way more of an individual thing. We keep looking for large, like big energy events that we can harness in power plants and then, direct down to wired homes serviced by electricians. That's the system we've got going on right now. We got a whole different system coming. A whole different system coming. And we're going to have to transform a lot of our physicality to accommodate this. Being able to tap directly into source energy, to take our technology, whatever it is, and just dial it directly into source energy without having to have a house that's wired for power. So our expertise is going to have to be a whole nother way. Oh, George, are you there? Are you working on electricity still? So interesting. I wish I could have found the concept of source energy while he was still around. It might have been an interesting way to direct his energies so that they weren't so destructive. Anyway, we'll tackle it again tomorrow. If you do ever catch this show and you have any questions, please leave a comment, leave a question. I will try to address it. Keep checking back to the just because I'm all alone over here does not mean that I do not have my thumb on the absolute pulse of the matter. I do. I have my thumb right on the pulse, right on the heart of the material, everything. And I will help all of us understand this as going forward. We all can. We all can. We're all brilliant. We all have access to this cache of universal information. I have it from my direction. You have it from yours. I can direct my life. You need to direct yours. And all of us can find our way to a blessed harmony that we can live together. Until next time, may the force be with you. And as always, even more importantly, may the source be with you.